KC LaCourse coming to you from Las Vegas, Nevada with another Hearts of the West, a video showcase of Western performers, musicians, singers, songwriters, and cowboy poets. And at the end, I like to have my tip of the hat, my wild card, I like to call it, where I pay tribute to a person, place, or anything that keeps us moving forward in the Western culture. And it might even be one of your favorite Western movie clips, so stick around. Now, I always started off with one of my own poems, and the inspiration for this poem is a sweet gentleman I know, a dear friend. He was more of a father to me than my own father. He is 90 years old, and his family came over from Germany on a passenger ship. They crossed the Missouri River, they went from back east to Colorado, and then they finally landed in Kansas, and they eventually moved back to Colorado. But he recorded his family's history for me, and it inspired me, and I wrote this following poem titled Wild Bill by KC LaCourse. I sat at my grandfather's knee to hear his story, our legacy. His father, +3, left the country of Germany. A passenger ship of hopes and dreams were the people on this historic trip. In the year of 1740, William Hilborn settled in Pennsylvania in a lumber mill where he earned the nickname of Old Wild Bill. The Indians would at times raid the white man's towns. Kidnapping and slavery were all around. Wild Bill was captured, sold in Canada, now a slave. A Canadian lumber mill would be his cage. With knowledge already tilled, to earn his freedom would be his task, freedom earned as years passed. No money for wagon or horse, traveling by foot, he forged his course. Pennsylvania, he arrived. Slavery took its toll. He was not recognized. New plans were made to head west, he surmised. Crossing the Missouri, he nearly died. Colorado, his new home. But not content, he began to roam. To Cheyenne, Kansas, he obtained land to call his own. He would marry and begin a new history. I sit at my grandfather's knee and hear his story, our legacy. Thank you, folks.
I was out riding a fence late one spring day when I came across this old cowboy sitting his horse up in the shade. A stranger to me he was, so I decided I'd best go on up and check him out. As I got a little closer, he lifted his head. I could see the sadness in his eyes. And as he eased up, I asked him, I said, "Partner, is there something I could do for you? Are you lost? Is there someplace I could take you?" He just kind of lifts his head and looks at me and says, "Nope." Then he says, "I want to ride across the range like days gone by, saddle up at the crack of dawn, chase the setting sun, push a herd up the Chisholm Trail, any old trail will do. But those are only memories now since the barbed wire rails. Well, back in the day, there were herds out on the trail, pushing to railheads to make public sales. They could stretch from here to yonder, make a drover earn his keep. But those are only memories now since the barbed wire rails. Oh, the wire and the rails, they cut across the plains. The tracks on the prairie like a rattler in the sand. They climb over the mountains and down the other side. Makes it so an old cowboy can't take his last ride. I wanna ride to the edge of a mesa with the sun at my back, gaze at all the things created by our Lord. Sleep underneath the starry sky, hear a coyote howl at the moon. Those are only memories now since the barbed wire rails. Now son, if there's any of these things you can do, be greatly beholden, but I know you'll find it true. The days of the past, the ones that I knew, those are only memories now since the barbed wire rails. Oh, the wire and the rails, they cut across the plains, the tracks on the prairie like a rattler in the sand. They climb over the mountains and down the other side, makes it so the old cowboy can't make his last ride. Yeah, it makes it so this old cowboy can't take my last ride.
The epitome of a rancher's wife, there I stood in the kitchen doorway. Fresh cow poop soaked my hair, my eyes. I smelled like a bovine bouquet. I had heeded my husband's call to come quick and lend a hand. Sunday church would just have to wait. Now daily crisis, I understand. The bull was out, as one could see, around his neck the bullpen gate. Springtime and the sap was flowing. Happy heifers he would captivate. Now high heels are not meant for racing. Hiked up my skirt to leap the fence. The neighbors sure were entertained at this frantic woman's expense. Get to the road before that bull and close the gate, was my directive. Barefoot, flipping dirt and gravel, that open gate was my objective. With skirt still hiked above my hips, girdle binding my hip lock stride, I dredged ditches, hurdled head gates. The sight was far from dignified. But I reached the road and grabbed that gate made of 5 strands of sharp barbed wire. As I jerked up it hooked both sleeves and stripped my blouse from my attire. Well, that flapping shirt ticked off that bull, much like a matador's red cape. With gate secured, the bull took aim. Well, I regrouped and looked for an escape. I cartwheeled over the electric fence, head first into that steaming pile. Well, dripping poop, half-dressed and spewing sparks, I staggered to my domicile. Collapsing in the kitchen doorway on stacked calf buckets, there I perch. My husband laughed hysterically. Hon, you've never looked better for church. Nope, not one thank you from his lips. Not a consoling word was said. Oh, did I lose my temper? Quietly vowed revenge instead. I simply gipped back down the lane. A wicked smile replaced my frown. I looked at the road and then that bull, and I threw that wire gate back down. Now, my husband's no longer laughing. He's saddled up and jumping ditches, hurdling hip gates and wondering why we ever raised these sons of guns. Well, that bull took off a-hunting heifers, and the husband's a-hunting the bull, and if and when he catches him, that bull's going to become a coal. There's been some changes round our place. That young bovine was made a steer, so we'll have a freezer full of corn-fed T-bones for the year. And when he calls for my helping hand, he's also changed his attitude. He's learned payback just ain't worth it when you don't show proper gratitude.
In the past quarter century, MGM Studios has sent famous players to the far corners of the earth to bring you new, strange, and extraordinary thrills. To darkest Africa, to mystic Asia, to the frozen Arctic, and to the tropical South Seas. Now, for the first time, MGM brings you an unexplored savage wilderness, never before photographed, right in the continental United States. This is the hitherto untold story of those valiant pioneer women who defied perilous obstacles because they were lured by the promise of love at the end of the trail.
This kind of fun will rip a train wide open. I've seen it happen. On most trains, the law against bundling is 30 lashes. On my train, it's a bullet. So use your head. Stop your pleasuring and stay alive. She's not dead. Nothing's happened to her that didn't happen to her before. All I did was rough her up a little. You remember what I told you I was going to do. Stand on! Stand on! You see what you started?
It wasn't her fault. It could have happened.
What do you mean it wasn't her fault? Who fired that gun? Roy was out of his mind to sign you on, you and your partner. From now on, Dan, on, stick close to your wagon. Don't move away from it. Where do you think you were going?
I didn't care.
Well, let's get back.
But you did.
Did what?
Came after me.